Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and call to order the Wednesday, November 13th, 2024, 1:30 p.m. We're starting at 1:35 p.m. canvassing board meeting being held here at our King County Elections headquarters in Renton for the November 5th, 2024 general election. I am canvassing board member Julie Wise, your King County Director of Elections. And with me, I have canvassing board member Kimberly Frederick, the Chief Civil Deputy in the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and Stephanie Sirkovich, Chief of Staff to the King County Council. We are staffed today by Geraldine Hampton, our King County Elections Ballot Processing Manager. But first up, we've got our Deputy Janice Case here to report out. This meeting is being live streamed via the King County Elections Facebook page and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel after this meeting. And just a reminder that we have new microphones that we're trying out here at King County Elections. So we'll see how they do. We hope that it will provide clear audio for all of our viewers in person as well as online. Now, first up, we're going to hear from our Deputy Director of Elections, Janice Case, with an update for the general.
Good afternoon. I have a Dropbox report out that I would like to provide you all with this afternoon. First of all, I just wanted to note that I'm super excited to report that we had a record 67% turnout at our ballot drop boxes. That's how many folks chose that method to return their ballots at one of our 85 drop boxes this election. That's over 770,000 ballots and over 186,000 ballots on election day alone.
Wow.
The top locations will be of no surprise, with nearly 30,000 returned at our King County Elections Office, nearly 24,000 at the Ballard Branch Library, and over 23,000 at Redmond City Hall. Always our top three locations every election without fail. Overall, operations at ballot drop boxes went very smooth, but I do have one incident to report. This is canvassing board item DB9001. 2 ballots received after the 8 p.m. deadline on election day were placed into the ballot drop box at the Federal Way 320th Library before the slot was closed and sealed. All closing staff are trained on end-of-line procedures, and they are to mark the last pedestrian and vehicle voters in line at the 8 p.m. deadline by calling them out to each other and letting those on-time voters submit their ballots in the ballot drop box slot. If there are no pedestrian or vehicle voters in form lines, they are to close the ballot drop box slot. Any ballots received after the 8 p.m. deadline are to be placed into a red bag designated for ballots received after the deadline. On Tuesday, November 5th at 8 p.m., the 2 closing staff at the Federal Way 320th Library called out at 8 p.m. and agreed that there were no on-time voters assembled, so the closing captain began to lock the slot. After the 8 p.m. deadline, a voter arrived and got out of their vehicle and handed 2 ballots to the closing captain, who deposited them into the slot before locking and sealing the slot, which is not what they are instructed to do. These 2 ballots should have been placed in the red bag as they were received after the 8 p.m. deadline. 2,319 ballots were returned at the Federal Way 320th Library ballot drop box on election day, and there was no way to distinguish which 2 ballots were too late, and all ballots were processed as on time. Just wanted to make you aware of this incident that had occurred. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Thanks, Janice. Next, we'll have our ballot processing manager, Geraldine Hampton, give us a slight update into this general election, as well as we will dive into several ballots that need some voter intent determination for the board this afternoon.
All right, good afternoon. All right, so for ballot processing specifically, we are still in the midst of completing the election. With that said, we'll be reviewing many more ballots here in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, and so we will have another Canvas Board meeting with ballots for the board to review on Wednesday, November 20th. This is a partial set of ballots to review. Today we have for you 36 ballots to take a look at. All right, first item for the board is B-0001. Have one item on the front, nothing on the back.
Can we focus a little bit? Is that possible?
There we go.
Oh, thank you.
It's supposed to autofocus for us. There, maybe just need a little. Initiative 2066 are the circled initials. Are the circled initials an instruction to vote for yes, is our question. And if you want to look at what written instructions are, that's in Rule E, page 44 of the voter intent guide. So for this example, they crossed out both items and then they gave us some initials. We don't know if they want to correct it away or if that's what they want their vote to be. And page 44 covers written instructions in the voter intent guide.
And there's nothing else on the other side that's similar?
On the other side, all the ovals
Okay.
are just filled in per normal.
So there are no other strike-throughs or corrections. They're very clear strike-throughs on the front. I mean, they're both very deliberate.
Stephanie, do you have an idea for determination on this?
My thought is that the person decided not to vote for anyone, struck through both and put their initials there to just show that that's, you know, like when you sign a check or you correct something and you put your initials there, that's my best guess as to what this was. So it's not voting for either yes or no.
I think it's hard to determine whether the person is initialing the correction or the selection. I can't tell because there are two strike-throughs and they're clearly trying to tell us something, but it's either that they mean to strike through the one with the initials or they mean to vote for the one with the initials. I don't think it's clear.
Okay, so it seems like the board has determined that this is an undervote, meaning that there is no oval has been properly filled in.
Correct.
Okay, next item, B-0002, a single item on the front. For president, are the initials and check mark a written instruction to vote for Donald despite the correction? Note the extra oval to the left of JD. Again, this is a question about written instructions, and do we think that this initial here is telling us anything and the voter added their own little oval?
Kimberly, what do you think?
Well, in contrast to the previous ballot, this one appears to be showing, because there's another oval, that appears to be the correction, and it's a selection for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
I agree.
The board has determined a vote for President Trump.
Next item is B-0003, a single item on the back. For state auditor, is the circle a written instruction to vote for Pat? Again, rule instruction question. So they did a strike through and then it looked like they circled it. Maybe they're trying to say, I didn't mean to do a strike through.
Stephanie?
That's a tough one. Again, the marks are so deliberate. It's hard to tell which I mean, I would assume that the circle came second, right? The strike through. My instinct is that it is a vote for McCarthy.
I agree, because in the second, the next race, there's a clear strike through and selection.
And no circle.
Right.
Board has determined for state auditor, a vote for McCarthy.
Next.
Long ballots get tricky to
There's
handle, don't they?
So many folds.
Origami.
They're so
Yeah.
floppy. B-0004, there's a single item on the front. Guess I'll start it up high. And then, there we go. All right, so for I-2124, is the circle a written instruction to vote for yes? So there's an X and a circle.
Are there any things on the back that are similar, any X's or circles anywhere else?
Anywhere else on the ballot, it is regularly filled in ovals on the front and the back, so
Okay.
no other corrections to review.
Generally, when you, well, I don't know what to do with this one, because generally when you X something out, it means that you don't want to select that. But it seems, well, actually, there is a selection in the other oval. If there is no other oval selected, I would think that it was just a correction and they were going to undervote. But to me, it looks like it's a vote for no.
A vote for no.
Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I think without more information, because both are bubbled in. I'm always trying to think of sequence of what someone might have done. You know, the circle could just as easily mean, I'm just showing you, yes, I've X'd that out. I mean, I think the X through it is kind of the determinant here. So I would agree that this is a no vote.
The board has determined for I-2124, a vote for no.
Next item, B-0005, a single item on the back. Start it higher. Okay. For legislative district number 12 here, is the circle a written instruction to vote for Keith? Does the word mistake mean that the correction was a mistake or that the vote was a mistake?
I believe it says mistake, no Democrats, and then DSK twice, like that's their
I
initials
think that's their
potentially.
initials, right?
So the written instruction is mistake, no Democrats.
That seems like a written instruction. They don't want to vote for a Democrat, and then they've circled the Republican, right? So I would think that we should follow their instructions.
I agree.
Legislative District 12, State Senator is a vote for
I know it's Keith is the
hard.
first name.
Keith.
We generally use first names in our ballot review land.
I should know that. My mind is,
Well, I think Election Services uses last names, but we've always used first names. All right, we are on to B-0006, and we have a single item on the back for you. For state auditor, the voter X'd out the whole contest, but then wrote something like error. Is the word error a written instruction that the contest should be undervoted, or that some subsection of the marks should be ignored? Perhaps the large X, leaving a vote for Matt. Because there's like a line and an X.
But the large
And an
X is
error.
through the whole box.
But there's a line through the Pat name, and the X part is at
Right,
The
it
Pat
could
name.
just be like a messy X.
a messy correction. That's what it looks like to me.
So this would be a vote for, is it Matt?
Yes.
Board has determined for state auditor a vote for Matt Hopkins.
Next item is B-0007. There are 2 items on the front. For I-2066, is the word no a written instruction to vote no, or to undervote the contest? So that's this one here. It looks like there's a filled-in oval that didn't make it inside the oval. Looks like stuff was crossed out, and then they said no. Is our first question. And then the second question for I-2009, it's just a, what's the vote? Because it's, the mark is touching 2 different ovals, but.
Can I look at the other side of the ballot?
The other side of the ballot has completely filled in ovals, but no corrections or other written instructions.
And they're in the ovals. They're
They
not
are in the
always
ovals,
above
correct.
the ovals. Okay.
Yes.
I think, looking at the first one, I think that's, to me, a pretty clear instruction that if there's a no vote there.
I agree.
That's a little easier for me than the second one. I think I'd want to look at the second one maybe up close, just to. Thank you. Yeah, and it looks to me that, there's a blob in between both, but it barely touches the yes, and it goes into the no, and it sort of looks like they're downward strokes that go toward no. So I would lean toward no on that one as well.
I agree.
The board has determined for I-2066 a vote for no. I-2109 a vote for no.
Okay, next item is B-0008. And we have a single item on the back. I'll start. Okay, Supreme Court Justice number 2, is the word no a written instruction to correct Dave Larson or to undo the correction? Or is it just a write-in vote for no? Are they correcting away Dave? Or are we going to call it a write-in?
Well, it looks like they know how to do write-in correctly from the 2 previous,
Right.
above. So they know how to fill in the circle and put in their write-in vote. So to me, it looks like an undervote.
Right, I agree.
The board has determined for State Supreme Court Justice Position number 2 undervote.
Next item is B-0009. There's a single item on the front. So I-2117, is the word no there a written instruction to vote for no, or is it a written instruction that they don't want to vote for no?
And there are no other strike-throughs or anything.
The other contests are all voted, except for there is one correction here. Okay. There we go. Where they appear to correct away a little beginning of a filling in the oval.
But they didn't write anything on that one.
They did not.
So that leads me to think that this is a no vote.
I agree.
The board has made a determination for I-2117, a vote for no.
Next item, B-0010, a single item on the front. For I-2066, is the X next to yes a written instruction to vote for yes, or is it a correction to the yes and they want to vote for no?
Could we see the other side?
Yes. Completely filled in ovals with no corrections of any kind.
So I'm interpreting this as a correction and a vote for no.
Yeah, I think so too, actually. I was just looking up because I think, yeah, rather than strike it through, they just put an X, and that's, yeah, I think so too.
The board has made a determination for I-2066, a vote for no.
B-0011, there is a single item on the back. Or State Supreme Court Justice number 8. Are the asterisks and the check mark written instructions to vote for Steve, or is the check mark meant to be some sort of write-in vote? If the check mark isn't a write-in vote, the X'd out oval for Steve would count as a vote.
Can you say that again? If the check mark is considered a write-in vote, then the oval,
Then Steve wouldn't count as a vote. So if they fill in the oval, they fill in the write-in oval and write on the line, this is going to be considered an overvote. I think that's what that statement is getting to.
Except for the X'd out Steve.
Except for the Steve is X'd out. So if this is corrected away, then it would be a write-in for a check mark.
and there's nothing else on the rest of the ballot that
No.
shows
Completely
any
filled
kind
in
of-
ovals, no corrections of any type. This is a really messy correction of some sort, meaning something.
And is there a rule with the write-in vote rule? Does it say anything about when it's not a name, when it's just a symbol?
So for our purposes, when we are looking at what's a write-in or not, it's simply the act of writing on the line, and we call it a write-in vote. We would only canvass who or what is written in on the line if the total number of write-in votes has enough to win the contest, and also there's a declared write-in candidate in that contest. That's the only time we'll do the canvassing. So for our purposes, if we can type it on that's how we had to slice it. If we can type it on a keyboard.
Right. So if there was nothing in the Steve Gonzalez, if it was just a bubbled in and a check mark,
It would be a
you would
write-in.
count that as a write-in vote?
Yes.
Then I would count that as a write-in vote because there's clearly an X, marking out the candidate name.
I agree. That's the rule. I don't know what checkmark means, but that's who they're voting for.
The board has determined for State Supreme Court Justice Position 8, a vote for write-in.
I think I wrote the wrong one down. There we go. Next item is B-0012. And there are two items on the front. This is a fun one. There we go. All right. So for I-2109 and 2117, hey, what are the votes? There is choice 1, choice 2, choice 3 written here. And this appears to be a reference to the instructions we provide to voters where we give a picture where we show choice 1, choice 2, choice 3. But in 2109, this contest, the voter put a yes with a check mark next to choice 3. Should it be a vote for yes? So, yeah. And then in 2117, they didn't put any ink at all in the no. Does the written instruction, this here, keep this from being a vote?
Do you mind moving
yes.
it up a little bit on the?
Oh, I apologize.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. John, do we see people use choice 1, choice 2, choice 3 often? I feel like it's every once in a while, but...
We often see people write choice 1 and choice 2 next to the responses, where choice 2 is the one that they wanted. I've never seen choice 1, choice 2, and choice 3. I've never seen this format.
Right. I think.
Can I hold it?
Yeah. No. Definitely take a look. I think for me the second one is a little bit easier. I think the first one seems to be a little bit all over the place.
Well, you know, in this 2109, they specifically make a no and fill in the circle and have a yes and don't have the circle filled in. And I don't know what they've done here. This looks like a vote. So I think that 2109 looks like a vote for no, given their illustration. And then I think that 2117 is a vote for yes, because no is not filled in.
Okay, so you're saying that 2109, because they have the no filled in and right next to it, it is a little, when you look at it more closely, it just looks like there's some messy marks around it, but that no is really the intended deliberate vote. And then 2117, what was your take on this one?
Yes is filled in, and there's no other instructions, so I think it's a vote for yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
The board has made a determination that for 2109, it's a vote for no. For 2117, a vote for yes.
All right, next item, B-0013. It is a single item on the back. For Secretary of State, absent the write-in line, this would have been a vote for Dale here. Mm-hmm. The voter wrote Steve Hobbs on the write-in line. Is that a written instruction to vote for Steve? Absent the written instruction rule, we'd ignore the unbubbled write-in since the candidate oval is filled in.
So without the bubble filled in, the write-in bubble filled in,
we would ignore the write-in line. And it would be a vote for the printed candidate.
but because the printed candidate's name is repeated on the write-in line,
it gives us pause.
yeah.
That looks like a deliberate correction.
An instruction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they took the time to write Steve Hobbs' name there and didn't cross it out, you know. Yeah.
The board has made a determination for Secretary of State, a vote for Steve Hobbs.
Okay, next item, B-0014. There are 2 items on the front and 5 on the back. 6 on the back. 2 on the front, 6 on the back. We'll start here. So for I-2124 is the X next to the no and the word initials yas. I couldn't wait to say that. A written instruction to correct no and to vote for yes is the question. So that is one of the questions. See, it says it. I didn't make it up. Okay. And then on the back, in every, let's see, for President, Secretary of State, State Treasurer, State Auditor, Attorney General, Commissioner of Public Lands, Insurance Commissioner, there is the word no put into the oval for one of the candidates while actually filling in the target area and voting for other candidates. Is that no a written instruction not to vote for the candidate with the no in the oval and to yes to keep the vote for the other candidate? Or if it's just marks in a target area, that would turn these into overvotes for all of these. If we think they just marked inside an oval, therefore it's a vote, therefore these would be overvotes.
So for the ones on the back, that looks like a written instruction not to vote for those and to have a vote for the candidate whose bubble is filled in.
Right, right. And it's a pattern. They seem to be doing that pretty consistently.
And then we'll go back to the first side, and I didn't display the one for president, but it's the same scenario where they wrote no in one of the ovals.
Oh.
I'm sorry. But then they overvoted everything else. And then they added a no down here and didn't fill it in. Because that's helpful. Sorry.
I think that's more clearly an overvote.
I agree.
And then for the other one, I was thinking, yas could be initials.
This is true.
Someone correcting, so it would be a yes vote.
I agree.
Sorry.
These are pretty great initials to have.
Yes. And the board has made a determination for I-2124. It is a vote for yes. United States President, overvote. Secretary of State, Hobbs. Treasurer, Pelliciotti. Auditor, McCarthy. Attorney General, Serrano. Commissioner of Public Lands, Up the Grove. Insurance Commissioner, Cooter.
Next item is B-0015. We have a single item on the front. For contest of president, should the bubbled write-in be considered a write-in instruction to vote for Hillary Clinton and or Michelle Obama if they're running for president, which they're not? Otherwise, this should be an overvote.
What does it say next to
Yeah, what does the language say? Seniority, is that what it says?
It says seniority at the top, and then next to these
other preferences.
yeah, other preferences if running,
Oh.
and then added a couple ovals.
Well, we could take that as an instruction, right?
Yes.
That's their other preferences if they're running for office, but they're not or weren't, and so I would think that this is a vote for Trump.
I agree.
Board has determined vote for President Trump.
B-0016, a single item on the front. We are now in messy mark territory. So I-2117, what is the vote? We've got a mark that extends a little bit into the yes as well as the no.
Can we see the other side?
Yes, completely filled in ovals. There's one that has a little extra
Yeah.
mark in the oval, but just barely here.
Maybe this is a good one to take a closer look
Yeah,
at.
you know, it's looking though like in that race right above,
Mhm.
it's kind of a consistent pattern of how they fill in the oval.
Mm-hmm. So are you thinking that it's into the no more than?
Can I see? It looks like they go. Yes, it looks like when they're making these marks that they go a bit above what they're selecting, and it looks like that also on the other side.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's a vote for no.
Correct.
The board has determined for I-2117 a vote for no.
All right. Next item, we have B-0017. There's one item on the front, an additional item on the back. So for Congressional District Number 7, State Representative, what is the vote? We have a messy mark situation that extends into 2 candidate ovals. And then on the back, a similar situation, except for in this instance it's a single X that happens to extend into both ovals. And the voter does use X's in all of their, well, not all, most of their other voting includes X's that are easily discern which oval they're in.
Right.
Can I look at it?
Yes.
Do you want to look at it?
Please, thank you. Some of these other X's are also kind of messily made, with multiple strokes, and they're not all like 2 strokes. And it looks like, I don't know if you had a strong, I feel like it's in the Pramila
Yes, I agree with that.
bubble, and it's just a messy X.
Yep, I agree.
Board has determined for United States Representative Congressional District Number 7 a vote for Jayapal.
So is there one on the other side?
Yes, there's one on
Oh,
the back.
sorry.
So
Thank
for the one on the other side, it looks like 2 parts of the X are in one of the candidates.
In Sal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I think it's a
Also
vote for.
also kind of a messy X, just a little bit different.
Same ballot, vote for State Supreme Court Justice Position Number 2, a vote for Sal.
All right. B-0018. There's a single item on the back, another messy mark that extends into a little bit 2 different target areas for Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Can we see the other side, please?
varying amounts of filled in oval, not too much outside of the oval.
Okay.
This one has a little bit more on the top, but not too much.
Can I hold it? Thank you. There's more in one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's more in Olson than Reichdahl.
I agree.
The board has determined for Superintendent of Public Instruction a vote for David Olson.
Item B-0019, there is a single item on the back, another messy mark situation, again for Superintendent of Public Instruction. So the mark doesn't really go into either, but it's touching both.
And it also seems to be lower.
Yeah, and it looks like for instance, in the race for the Kent School District 415, that the mark goes in a circle and below.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it seems kind of consistent with the ballot.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at it?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, even the Supreme Court, the mark goes in the circle and below. So I think it's a rectal.
Right. I agree.
Board has determined Superintendent of Public Instruction a vote for Reichdahl.
B-0020, there are two items on the front. For I-2066 and I-2109, messy marks are making us ask you, what are the votes? Partially extending into both target areas for both of these initiatives. Here and here.
Can we look at the other side, please?
We have a little bit of a similar situation where it sort of bleeds down into the line below.
Yep. I think it's like the last ballot where
Yeah.
those are the first race, vote for yes, second race, vote for yes.
Yes, yes, I agree.
Board has determined I-2109 yes, I-2117, just kidding, my apologies, Geraldine. I-2066 a vote for yes. I-2109 a vote for yes.
All right, B-0021, we have a single item on the front. For I-2124, there is some squiggles, that's the official term. We are unclear on what the vote is.
Can we see the other side, please?
The other side, the target areas are filled in. They don't really go too much out of the lines.
So are we looking at where there's more squiggle?
I think so.
All of these official terms,
Yes.
right?
It really kind of looks equal.
It is. Yeah, I think it's so equal that it would be hard to really determine. And looking at how the strokes might have been made, it almost looks like they started their pen like right in the middle and then just kind of squiggled around and got a little bit in both, an equal amount. So I think that's then an overvote.
Board has made a determination for I-2124 overvote.
B-0022, single item on the front. Same, I-2124. Messy mark. That extends into both target areas.
Can we see the other side, please?
These are sort of staying in the
It
target
looks
area.
like this
But
person.
they start above.
Yeah, they end
Yeah.
up, they go up, which is interesting. And if you look back on the other side, the first vote there,
Yes.
it's a no vote. It's very clearly a no vote, but it sort of ends up,
Yep.
which makes me think that sort of a similar thing happened down there where it started in the no. See, because you could see it
Yep.
clearly in the no, and it goes up.
I agree.
Board has made a determination for I-2021 a vote for no.
Wait, 21, 24?
Yes, I'm sorry, Geraldine. The board has made a determination for I-2124 a vote for no.
Okay, good.
I did one thing and said another.
Okay, B-0023, we have a single item on the back. For the Commissioner of Public Lands, is the horizontally oriented mark on Dave, here down here, is this a correction? So it's not a line, it's not an X, but it's extending into the target, into the name of the person, appearing to go over what was there
And
before.
Julie, I wonder if I should not weigh in on this one.
Sure.
Just as last time I recused myself because I work for the King County Council. Dave Upthegrove is my boss, and so I think I'll just sit this one out. And
One thing I'll add as a note, if you're looking at it, it appears the mark in the oval started with blue, and
Yeah,
then
that's
some
what
mark
I'm
on top is a black pen.
Can we look at the use of blue and black pen on the rest of the ballot?
There is another correction for I-2066 here, where they filled in with blue the yes, they struck it out with the black ink and then voted for no. But it's sort of a mixed bag
Yeah.
about some votes are in black, some are in blue.
And this is based on the other side. So on the other side, they have a blue vote crossed out, and then they have the no filled in. And on this, there's a blue that looks like a cross out, and the black circle for Upthegrove is filled in. It looks consistent with how they did their correction on Initiative 2066.
So Kim, are you thinking a vote for Upthegrove?
Correct.
The board has made a determination for Commissioner of Public Lands a vote for Upthegrove.
Next item is B-0024, single item on the front. For president, is there an X over the check mark for Kamala? If so, it would be a vote for Donald. If not, it'll be an overvote. So it's this tiny here. It looks like there's a check mark here and a check mark here, but it looks like there's a tiny little squiggle over it to correct away Kamala.
You mean it would be a vote for Robert?
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, it could be an X, but it could just be a messy check mark, although there aren't, the other check marks are pretty clear, but it's still, you know, people can get messy. To me, it's not a clear X, you know, looking at it. It almost looks like two check marks. I would say this is an overvote.
I agree.
Board has determined for president overvote.
All right, B-0025, we have a single item on the front. For initiative 2066, there is an X in the yes oval, but the oval mark is unusually big and covers most of the X. So they filled in the oval after the X underneath there. Should we consider this a regular X'd out oval? In which case it should be a vote for no. Like if that X was on top of it, then this is a correcting away the yes, and it would be a vote for no because there's just a mark in the target area. Or did the voter try to hide the X in the yes by making the oval mark extra big, in which case maybe it's a written instruction to vote for yes?
And there are no other corrections throughout the ballot?
There is one other correction on the back where they sort of did a donut hole here and then squiggled it out. And so that would be counted for Pete.
That's interesting.
It's hard to determine what the voter's trying to tell us. They clearly vote with ovals.
Can I take a look at that a little more closely? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an X underneath the, or on top of. Because if you, wait, how do we do the light? Oh, let's just do it this way. Yeah, I can actually see the X on top of the mark. You know, you can see it like it's not buried. Yeah, I don't know. The tricky thing is that they've put an X by no, which they clearly, when they vote, they fill it in. So,
I mean, this to me looks like a vote for yes. They do corrections by Xing out what they don't want. I mean,
Right.
crossing out somehow what they don't want, and here they have an X over no. So I believe this is a vote for yes.
Well, and that bubble, that yes bubble is very strongly filled in. Yeah.
The board has made a determination for I-2066, a vote for yes.
All right, B-0026, there is a single item on the front only. For U.S. Senator, are the scribbles in and around Dr. Raoul a correction? I don't know if there's a way to get a better view.
Yeah, we need like a remote control for it.
Yeah.
That's a little better. So it looked like there might be some lining out or some Xing, but it was a little bit unclear.
And I don't see a clear X in Maria. It's sort of more scribbly. And some of the other votes are scribbly as well.
Can we see the other side, please?
There's only a single vote on the other side for Secretary of State. Oh, and State Treasurer. Oh, never mind. There's a few votes on the back. Sorry.
Can we look at it?
I would think this is an overvote because it's just two really strong scribbles in each oval.
I agree.
The board has determined for United States Senator overvote.
B-0027, there is a single item on the front. For I-2109, is the mark in yes a hesitation mark? The general standard that we use when we're reviewing ballots is if another oval is filled in, a mark is a hesitation mark if the ink fills a quarter or less of the oval.
Can we see the other side, please?
Yes. The other votes on the front and the back are all completely filled in ovals. They don't even go out of the lines.
It looks like a hesitation mark.
I agree.
The board has determined for I-2109, a vote for no.
B-0028, there are a couple items on the back. For Attorney General, is the mark in Pete, this top one here, a hesitation mark? Note that the ink extends outside of the oval. Should we be considering only the ink in the oval? Again, our verbal standard, if another oval is filled in, a mark is a hesitation mark if the ink fills a quarter or less of the oval. And then for Insurance Commissioner, is the mark next to Phil, that's the bottom one, a vote for Phil? Easier to see, maybe.
So say it again, it's a hesitation mark if it fills in a quarter or less of,
And there's another target area filled in.
right. I think for Attorney General, Nick is very clearly filled in completely. And it looks like the other mark isn't like, I don't want to venture to guess what percentage is filled in, but it's mostly underneath that, the oval itself. So I think if we were following the rule strictly, it would count as a hesitation mark.
I agree. It looks like a vote for Nick. And then the other one,
Looks a little
It
bit
looks-
like a dinosaur to me.
It does look like a creature of
Yeah.
some
Yes.
sort.
but I can't see the candidate's first name, but it looks like it's a vote for the candidate
Right.
where the dinosaur is.
Phil.
Fortunato.
Yes.
The board has made a determination, Attorney General, a vote for Nick Brown. Insurance Commissioner, Phil Fortunato.
Next item is B-0029. And we have a few items on the back. So for context, the rest of the ovals are filled in completely, but there are 3 contests on the back that have just a dot, but do not have a second target area filled in, or those, in the case of the bottom 2, they're unopposed. So is this enough to be a vote, or is this a single hesitation mark?
And it could be voter fatigue, right? There's a rule about, or there's just sort of a,
When marks get smaller down a ballot,
Mhm.
they're all valid votes,
but we don't know how they voted either. Like they could have, even though this is toward the end, like people might flip around and vote in different places, and they might get tired maybe at the beginning of the ballot because they've saved that for last, or,
and then on the front also, the ovals are all completely filled in.
But those are those the only 3 uncontested races?
Well, actually,
One is not.
one
Oh,
is
okay.
contested, 2 are not.
Oh, okay. To me, those look like votes for the candidates that have the mark.
right. I agree.
The board has made a determination for State Supreme Court Justice Position Number 2, a vote for Sal. Position 8, a vote for Steve. Position 9, a vote for Cheryl. Sorry, I've been all over with first names and last names.
I know who they are. We're good. Next item, we have B-0030. This is one of our alternate format ballots.
So an alternate format ballot is often used by our military overseas voters. They're accessing their ballot online. Our voters that may have a disability also prefer using our online ballot marking program, and lots of other folks.
Yes, and this particular instance did not come from us. It's alternate from somewhere else. It is a unofficial sample type ballot produced elsewhere. So for I-2117, you can see that the ovals on this sample ballot are offset from the measure responses. There's the yes and the no, and the ovals are down there. The voter filled out the top oval, but the top oval is next to the no, even though the top oval would normally be for yes. So our question is, should this be a vote for yes, or should it be a vote for no because it's next to the no?
Can we see the other side? Is there another side?
There is.
Well, if you see in the state treasurer, there's also kind of a blank oval with nothing. I think it's a vote for the selection next to the mark that's filled in. So I think it's a vote for no.
A vote for no. Can we look at it again?
And Geraldine, this is a pen ink filled in ovals rather than the computer.
It looks like it, yes.
So there is no oval next to yes at all. It's shifted down.
Yes. The third oval in the candidate races, I would assume would be for write-ins.
Right.
There should be an extra oval at
Yeah,
the bottom
yeah.
for write-ins.
Oh,
But for
okay.
measures,
Yeah.
there's no opportunity for write-ins. it's offset, but we don't know what the voter meant to do.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's unfortunate that it seems to be the only one that got kind of printed misaligned. I mean,
Yes.
the others are a little bit off, but this one's really off. To me, it looks like it would be a yes vote because it's so very clearly filled out. The top bubble is so very filled out, but the bottom one isn't. But, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because did the person who was filling it out, I mean, they clearly filled everything out very neatly
Yes.
and deliberately, so, you have to get into the mindset of that person. It wasn't like they were just sloppily, picking whatever. They probably noticed, trying to get into the head of a voter who you don't know, but it just seems like these are very deliberate marks. And it's very clearly, the alignment is very clearly off. Oh. Yeah, maybe taking a closer look is a better idea. It'll give some insight.
The crows are here.
They are here.
I don't know what to do on this one. Because it like you said, it's the top oval, but the top oval's next to.
It's right next to no, yeah. Yeah, it's really hard to, like I said, get into the head of someone who you don't know who they are and what they're,
Well, but for the rest of the ballot, the oval, they're voting based on the order, correct? So, the top oval is for the first selection, the bottom oval is for the second selection.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be consistent with the ballot to have it as a yes, because that's the first selection,
Right,
the
that's
first oval.
the only place you can go if you want to vote yes. Yeah.
The board has made a determination for I-2117, a vote for yes.
All right. We have B-0031. There's an item on the front and nothing on the back, but there is a lot of writing and a lot of stuff to look at. Okay. So for United States Senator, the voter wrote the same name or a close variation in every single write-in line. Sometimes they bubble the oval, sometimes they don't. But for U.S. Senator, they also bubbled the oval for Dr. Raoul. Can we count this as a vote for Dr. Raoul with the name on the write-in line just being part of how this voter fills out their ballot rather than a write-in? Rule B is intended to allow votes to be counted even when they aren't in the oval so this isn't a straightforward application of the rule, but this voter seems to have a pattern because they're writing a version of this name in every contest. On the front, even when there's a write-in line option and when there's not a write-in option, they're still putting that there.
Right.
And they're doing a similar version of that name on every contest on the back as well.
Almost like they're signing it.
Yes, and we have seen that in the past.
But they fill in the oval on those ones.
Yep.
Hence the weirdness. Yes. 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 So this either ends up being an overvote or we consider it a pattern because they're signing things and that's a vote for Raoul.
I think it's a pattern, and it's a vote for Raoul.
I agree.
The board has determined for United States Senator a vote for Garcia.
All right, B-0032, there is an item on the front. For I-2066, this voter made a similar mark in all 4 initiatives and the measure on the back. In the last 3, the mark is evidently a negation and meant to undervote the contest. But in I-2066, the mark only goes through the no oval. Should this mark count as a no vote, or is this a pattern of similar marks meant to undervote the contest? So if you look elsewhere on the ballot, they're using this circular X motion to undervote. It's going through both,
Yes.
meaning they don't want to. They did one on the back as well, but that just X through the whole response area. But this I-2066 happens to only, it looks very similar, it just happens to
Right.
go into the no.
Right, and they're very clearly voting for, affirmatively for other things by filling in the bubble
Correct.
completely.
Yeah, it looks like a pattern for
Yeah,
crossing out the vote.
I agree.
Geraldine, did you say the other votes for the initiatives were undervotes or overvotes?
Undervotes.
Undervotes.
Yes.
Okay, so board, we're good with the undervote?
Yes.
Are you saying that's a no then? Or that's a yes? Or it's neither?
We're making it, we can talk afterwards, but right now the board makes a determination without audience
Participation?
participation. Thank you.
I was just trying
So
to understand.
the, we'll make a determination, I'll say it out loud.
Okay.
Board, are we looking at this as an undervote?
Yes.
Because they're striking out both
The whole
options,
concept
right?
test.
Yeah.
So if they're striking out both options, that's not an overvote, it's an undervote?
It's an undervote. It looks like they're striking out both options for all of the initiatives.
If we
Okay.
wish to know, okay.
Okay, got it.
So the board for this ballot for initiative measure number 2066 is considered an undervote, meaning that 0 votes will be cast for either of the ovals.
All right, B-0033, we have a single item on the front, nothing on the back. For United States Senator, is the X on the write-in line a vote for X? Which would turn this into an overvote because they filled in a bubble for a printed candidate, they filled in the bubble for write-in, and they wrote on the line. That would turn this into an overvote. Or is that correcting away the mark in the write-in line, meaning that would be a vote for Dr. Raoul?
Well,
Can you see the other side?
and we had the earlier instance where there was the check mark
Yes.
in the write-in,
Yeah.
and that was a legitimate, counted as a legitimate write-in vote.
Yep.
So no other corrections on the ballot, and everything filled in.
Overvote?
Yeah, that looks like an overvote.
So the board has made a determination for, on this ballot, for the United States Senator, it is considered an overvote, meaning multiple ovals filled in by the voter.
B-0034, we have multiple items on the back. All right. For, starts at Superintendent of Instruction, let's see, Supreme Court Justice, number 2 down here, and then these contests on the back continue with State Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, and Superior Court. Ordinarily a slash through an empty oval is a vote, but here if we applied that rule, the opposed races would be all overvoted and the unopposed races would be votes, which seems weird. All the other contests not up for review right now have regularly filled in ovals, just like we would anticipate a voter to do.
Right.
So it does give the appearance that they're meaning to not cast votes in those contests.
I agree. It looks like an undervote for all of
Undervote.
those.
Yeah.
The board has made a determination for Superintendent of Public Instruction an undervote, meaning no ovals filled in. State Supreme Court undervote for position 2, 8, and 9. Court of Appeals, Division number 1, District number 1, undervote. That's position 4 and position 7. Superior Court, judge position number 41, also an undervote. Again, no votes will be selected or counted as voter intent.
All right, B-0035, there's 2 items on the front. And it was not us, just so you know. That's how it came to us. All right. I-2066, is this a vote for no, or is it something else? It's a weird shape. We're not sure what it is. And then for president, they circled, it appears they circled Donald Trump. And maybe you lined out Kamala. It's not totally clear. Is there a written instruction in here?
And is that a mark, like a dot underneath
And
the
there's
oval?
a little dot there that is visible on the other side, but it's not like bleed through because of voting on the other side.
And the rest of the ballot is not filled in.
Blank everywhere else other than those 2 contests.
And you said the dot's from the other side, that it's a bleed through, it's not.
I don't know. There's no vote on the other side. It's just a little
Do you mind?
speck that could be from either side.
Too much particular. Yeah, yeah, it could be from either side.
So to me, this looks like, if we're looking at the instructions for 2066, this looks like an undervote, like they corrected away the no.
Mm-hmm.
And then this, for president, it looks like, I mean, there's a distinct circle, and it
Right.
looks like it's a vote for Trump.
Right, and they could have circled it and put the dot on that side. Yeah.
The board has made a determination for Initiative 2066 is an undervote, meaning no circles filled in, no votes completed. For president, a vote for Trump.
Excuse me. Final ballot, B-0036. We have a item on the front and an item on the back. For United States Senator, in the focus. There we go. For U.S. Senator and Attorney General, it's another messy mark situation. So we have a mark that it appears to slightly be touching Dr. Raoul, and then on the back, another messy mark where the target, or where the mark is slightly touching, it appears, both ovals.
Can I look at that, please? Thank you.
Well, the one on the back is another one of those tricky. It's like exactly in between the ovals. There's a hair line mark a little bit more in Pete Serrano than in Nick Brown, but it's like, you know, I don't think that that was intentionally. I think it's just clearly a kind of a scribble in between. On the front, I would be more inclined to think that that's a vote for Dr. Garcia, but it's just a little bit missed. You know, they just missed the oval a little bit. I have a much harder time about the back, just knowing.
No, the one on the front, I agree. It looks like a vote for Dr. Garcia. And in the back, on the back, it's in between the two, and it's hard to determine who they're voting for.
Yeah.
So front Garcia, back is under vote.
The board has made a determination for United States Senator, vote for Garcia. Attorney General, undervote, meaning no oval filled in. All right, would you like a motion for those ballots?
Yes, please.
Oh, great.
I make a motion for the King County election staff to count the ballots as marked.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, that is the delegation authority. We're no longer doing the signed paper anymore.
That's right. Thank you. Okay. So you have an ask of us for the next item, Geraldine?
Yes, please. I would like for the board to delegate authority to us as election staff for ballot processing activities in the upcoming elections in the year 2025. Yes, that's the next year. As well as delegating authority to us as election staff for any recount planning and execution that needs to happen in the year 2025.
I move that we, the members of the King County Canvassing Board, authorize election staff to conduct ballot processing activities adhering to the rules and guidelines detailed in the King County Canvassing Board administrative rules for all elections held in 2025.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Stephanie, do you want to do the next one?
The delegation of authority.
For the recount? Sure, please.
I move that we, the members of the King County Canvassing Board, authorize election staff to, at any time a recount is called, provide notice of the recount, continue to work, to set costs, and to complete the election, adhering to the rules and guidelines detailed in the King County Canvassing Administrative Rules for all elections held in 2025.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much to our canvassing board members for pouring over that voter intent this afternoon, and for our awesome team for all the work they've done today in preparing those ballots for the board and preparing for this canvassing board meeting. We've got some more meetings ahead of us, though. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 20th at 1:30 p.m. where we'll have some more voter intent to review at that time. Is there any further business?
Not today.
Great. This canvassing board meeting is officially adjourned at 2:59 p.m. on November 13th, 2024. We will see you at our next meeting on the 20th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.